step out of wherever you are working. Like, just step out of it. So if you're in your workspace, you are working, you feel like that's it. Just log out. If you want to go out, go out. If you want to watch movies, watch movies. If you want to do anything aside work.
You know, deadline is by. Alright guys, welcome to another episode of JunkieTalks, and in this episode we'll be talking about navigating creative blog and, you know, ways to go about it, right? But before that, you know how we do it. We are going to talk to one of these guys. I don't know who's taking it. Stand up. Who's taking it? Stand up. Stand up. All right, listen.
Okay.
So, great thoughts. Listen, talk to us.
Yeah. So, what am I working on? Assurance. So, like I said, we are building a platform to help average Ghanaians to get affordable rentals. And we tried solving it the hard way. I mean, the usual way of going about this, where we started profiling like places and also getting homes that are up for rent, right? We get our own database. If someone needs help with getting a particular place, then we let the person know, okay, this place is available. And we noticed it wasn't sustainable. Plus also there was issues with the money. Like, you know, even affordable in itself is relative.
Yeah.
So maybe 1,000 cedis a month might be okay for someone, but then might be really expensive. So looking at that, we decided to pivot away from looking for places, but then rather look at ways we could leverage agents to help us with the search and also with the verification and all that. Because at the end of the day, we don't want a platform where we have $5,000 rent. It's meant for Ghanaians. So we are trying our best to get, like I said, in quotes, affordable rentals, but then we don't want it to also affect us in the long run. So currently we are trying to pivot, and hopefully we will get to see the result of the pivot. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. You get a question from?
Why do I ask question?
Maybe you don't understand what you said. All right. Creative block. I mean, in our last... Hey! Maybe this spot. Maybe this spot.
You just did it about it.
In our last episode, where we were talking about creative, you know, building your creative muscles and all that. But then we have to understand that there are times where, like, Charlie, we are edgy. Like, you can do everything and you just realize that the ideas are just not coming, right? I just want you to share experience. Have you been in that position where, like, you felt like, nah, Charlie, I need to take, you know, a chill, just relax, you know, that? Have you been in that position before?
Yeah, so many times. I mean,
any experience?
Yeah, so there's been cases where coming up with ideas becomes difficult just because I'm stressed out and there's a lot going on. So I can't really think like the way I would normally. Yes. So with regards to the experience, yes, I have experienced like so many.
Okay.
On so many occasions.
There's no particular you can pinpoint.
Share. Yeah, like last 2 years, yes, I was working on so many projects. The reason was I wanted to put a lot more on my portfolio, a lot more projects on my portfolio, because I noticed I was stuck with one, but like I was building on just one, but then I wanted several, like, so I started taking more gigs. And normally what I do is when I'm not recommending this, but normally when I need projects, I start like putting out my work.
Okay.
So that people will see them, they reach out. And it normally works, especially on LinkedIn. So what happened was I started getting more like gigs, people were reaching out to me. And yeah, when they reach out, they tell me, oh yeah, my mind, they make you hop on them. Sometimes the money is not so good, but then because I wanted more projects I'll just take it. And eventually, it took like this wrong turn where I started like feeling stressed out. Sometimes I wake up, Charlie. The brain would work. Like you can feel the stress all over your body. And I noticed it was because of me taking on so many projects, me leading on so many projects. So yeah, that's when I decided to cut some of them off, focus on one thing. Then yeah, I took and funny enough, I took longer time to recover. Meanwhile, if I was probably taking breaks within, yeah, and also considering the number of projects, also accounting for the number of projects I did. I think, and delegate.
Right.
So what I did was some of the projects that I was completely done with, like almost done, sorry, I just completed. When it was like fresh, it's either I let it go, I recommend outsource for someone to do it. Yeah, so last 2 years was,
Okay.
yes.
So your creative block came from stress. All right.
Yes,
We'll tackle that later. Before I go to Sam, I'll just share an experience I also had. I think that was last year. Last 2 years, last 3 years, almost every year. And I feel it's the same thing. Like, it gets to the point where you're so much overwhelmed with the things you are doing that, like, you sit behind a laptop and you're like, Charlie, I think somewhere last quarter last year, I was so tired, right? So in December, I did less work. And in January, which is this month, I just came for and there was a change, you understand? Because it's like, in the last 3 months of last year, yes, I was working so much, so many projects. You wake up and then in your head, you don't know which one you want to tackle first because both of them have, all of them have closed deadlines, so much requirements from the clients and all that. So you just get lost in your thoughts. So even if you are trying to come up with something, you are just confused, if I should say. So I think I really understand that part, especially when it comes to stress and being overwhelmed. And I think sometimes it's a mistake on our part because it's that we want to put more projects on our work and our portfolio, or we want to get more extra, money. Understand? But sometimes you think about it and you're like, is this stress really worth
it?
the money they are giving me and all that? But I guess it is what it is. We learn from it. And only if we realize that, okay, even if I'm going to take more projects, let me just, put those breaks inside, like we're saying, it took you longer time to recover. But then if you put those little measurements in place, those little measures in place, little breaks and all that, taking, 2 days off, 1 day, just relaxing and all that. Really, because last year, I wake up from bed, the energy to wake up from bed, leave my room, go to take my laptop, that alone seemed like a lot. Yeah. Because I was just stressed, it's something different. Hey! I've been seeing myself in there. Akata.
Also.
I said about creative blog. Any experience you like to share?
Charlie. I did yourself a block, but
yeah, I can tell.
Creative block. I mean, basically the same thing you guys talk about. Yeah, it just comes from, at least in my case, I don't know about this, but yeah, mainly from stress. And the stress is typically caused by wanting to do too much or having to do too much. So yeah, I guess when it comes to how to remedy it or how to prevent it, I'll speak more, but I think that's basically it.
Okay. One thing, I mean, stress is a factor, right? But the one thing I also realize sometimes is, let's say you pick up a project, and I think we're talking about questions in one of the episodes. Sometimes lack of understanding for a particular project also kind of blocks certain creativity, because it's like you don't know so much about the product or the project you're working on to kind of explore. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, because sometimes I can, and I'll ask you questions, the client, because I don't want to get to the point where now I'm assuming for the client. Because then sometimes you take the project, you feel like, okay, you understand it. You start putting things, pen on paper, start kind of doing research, and then you realize, okay, you have little to no understanding on this, and then it kind of blocks that, how do you call it? Creative flow, if I should say that, okay, I want to try this, but because you have little or less understanding, you're unable to go about that. As a designer, right, if you are speaking to clients, how do you go about it in the sense that you're asking the right questions, if I should say, so that if you get to the point where you need to explore, your creativity can flow? Because there are some maybe things that sometimes, like I said, stress is one, but then sometimes also you're not stressed, you just don't understand the thing.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You just don't understand the thing. So have you been in that position where maybe you found a way to just try and capture everything and all that?
Yeah. So what I normally do is I'll just give an example of a project I worked on. So it was a feature actually. It was a webhook feature. Okay. I've heard of webhooks, but then to design for one, I was kind of confused. They were like, "Oh yeah, we need a webhook feature for this, and design design something for us." And in my head, I'm like, "What the hell am I designing?" So what I did was to let them know that I need time to understand what we're actually building. So that was me actually understanding what even webhook is. You get it? Understand the basics of webhook. How other products or companies are going about implementing webhooks. How are they doing? You get it? Then it helped me get like a fair idea of what we're trying to do. And I also played with some of the features, like how some of the like webhooks were, to get a feel of it. So that helped me when I was like asking them questions, because now I have
a fair understanding.
So I knew what we needed, and I was asking questions on, do we need this? Do we need that? How are you trying to do this, right? So later on, when I was designing for it, it was very easy compared to when probably if I didn't consider that and they told me, I'm like, okay, I'll design. Do you get it?
If you don't have the understanding, you can't even ask the right questions.
Exactly. So normally I try to understand what they are even talking about. If I understand what they are doing, right, I can ask questions in such a way that it would get me at the point where I can actually start doing something. And even if I don't, I have zero knowledge in it, right?
I'm still going to it.
Yes. Because at the end, there's that gap. So I need to fill that gap. Because definitely some of the clients, they come to you, they want something, but they can't really explain it to you the way you want, right? So you can ask them the questions that probably you need, the why, okay, what are they trying to solve? Sometimes they might give you not like a so clear picture of what they want to execute, but then I believe you understanding if there is any knowledge gap, fill it on your end, right? And also ask the necessary questions to help you in the research part of like the whole understanding thing.
Actually, I think I have an experience or story, same thing, where I'm working currently, right? They are more into sports. Now, the only sports me I know about is basketball, football, a little knowledge, right? Then I get hired, I knew before getting hired. It's more about baseball, American football. Charlie, Ghana, maybe baseball fan, right? Yeah. And I remember the very first call with their product manager when they were explaining this thing, the new terms I was hearing. I was lost. So after the call, like after talking, I was like, oh, can she send me this the thing she was showing me? Can she maybe give me something? She was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So after the call, she sent me some resources. See, that evening, me then the articles, I read, can learn about baseball, American football, golf. All those things, I'm not interested. You understand? Because we don't even play it here. But then, just to help me understand the product we are building, I had to go and learn all those things. Because, like, an example, there's a baseball pitching analysis app. So you take a video, then the AI will kind of look at the video and they give you a recommendation. Okay, you can do your throw better, you can do your leg wall and all that. Now, if I don't understand the variables and the things the result they are giving at the end of the day, what timing is, what retention is, what all those things are, mean to me designer shit. You understand? Yeah. So I had to go and understand all those things. And then now when you're designing, you know where to put. Because at the beginning when she was talking, I was lost in my head. Hey, how am I going to do this, right? Yeah. But then you learn about baseball, you understand how it works, how they want the AI to work, and the results they want to. And to the point that I even had to understand the VAE, which is like the back end they had, right? And how it produces results and all that. Because then now I can just go out of my creativity because I know that, okay, if the person takes the video, these are the variables and these are the results. So now I can just... So I think another thing that sometimes just stops you from just getting creative, getting into that zone, coming up with maybe solutions or something, is just that understanding that you lack. Because then you'll not be able to ask the right question. I can't challenge classes. I want you to get that.
So,
But yeah,
Also-
are you your creative blocks? you lost the. Are you lost your thoughts?
yeah, what's the question again?
I mean, speaking on the topic of understanding and question, sometimes people have that creative block because they don't understand whatever they are working on, right? So they don't have little to no knowledge, so they can't even ask that question and all that. It happened to you before, and how you go about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely, it happened to me before. One recently, I think this week. So I was working on this. I'm supposed to work on this issuance reports thing. So I just give a brief on what it's about. So you see, before companies float their stocks for public to buy, you need to go through an agent sort of, right? For that agent to basically take care of that whole thing for them. And then they will float it to the market and say, okay, MTN stock or Standard Chartered stock is available, so come and buy. The public will buy, blah, 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 like that whole process. So I was supposed to work on something like that. I mean, yeah, it got explained to me on the call, but then typically, like when you explain to me, I typically know what to do. But this one, because it was very new, like I hadn't done something like this before, and it was going to integrate with the KYC that I designed. Right, so I needed to understand the intricacies within that and see how to connect it to the KYC and like basically set it up for other projects that might come up that would need to connect to it. Yeah, so for that one day, I needed to wait for the PRD. So that was what I was saying, that it was when the PRD came in that everything became clear to me.
Right.
And I was able to design the first flow in like 2 hours. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
prior to then, I didn't have a lot of clarity. So it took like a week because I was waiting for that to come in. But yeah, once it came in, I think I got the clarity I needed to start working on it. So yeah, that one, it definitely happened. That's just one example. There have been like a number in the past. Yeah.
Well, still on the factors of creative blog, I think we spoke about shares, then the understanding. The third one, which most creatives face, is deadlines, right? Sometimes, like, you want to explore, right? But then you have this tight deadline, then you kind of want to rush things, you know, Bob. And I don't know if we say we just don't like the client, just I don't know. But then I've been in that position before, but I've stopped because then it's like, okay, you know that this thing you can get it done in a month, but I tell the clients 1 week, 2 weeks. Then now you just put that pressure on yourself, right? And I don't know why people do that. I don't know why people do that, but I feel like that is another factor when it comes to, you know, creative blogging. And that's something that when avoided, you'll be good to go. Because then we're talking about iterations in the last episode, where if you have the chance, you can just explore more, right? And then maybe the second variation will be better than the first, the third better than the first. Are there any other factors aside these three that you feel like causes, you know, creativity? Creative blog, or stops your creativity from flowing? We feel that stress. Picking on more projects.
I mean, what you mentioned, I do the opposite too. So instead of like knowing that this will take me a month and promise a week. I mean, if it
more tolerance.
if I know, for example, this thing, if I know it take me like
2 hours.
2 hours, I'll tell you 1 week.
Yeah, because then when you deliver faster,
Yeah, they are impressed. So I under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing since.
I learned that. Funny enough, I learned that at the beginning of my career there, a fintech company I was working. I met the CEO at East Legon. I forgot the name of the place. And we're talking, like, you have the job. Then he asked me to do a draft. So he was not giving me work before hiring me. He has hired me. I was like, I should go and do this. They have a designer. They're going to fire it. They're going to fire the designer. They asked me when I can get it done. And I gave him a short timeline. I was like, no. It seems like an easy work, but I shouldn't do that. I was like, okay, I'm listening. Like, you do this. Promise the person, tell the person something long. Give them a long timeline. In their head, they'll be like, okay, this is long. But then now when you deliver faster, they'll be impressed. And it always works. Like, every single time. It always works. You just have that freedom.
It gives the impression you're fast, even though you're not. That's a trick I always use. Free tip for everybody.
It helps. It helps.
Yeah.
Are there any other factors that you think blocks creativity, if I should say?
Yeah, so I was trying to break it down, like have like external factors and internal factors. So external factors could be stress that's coming from probably your relationships.
Okay.
And the relationships could be romantic or friendly.
Okay.
When am I want
When am I not romantic? Forget the friendship. You don't need it. Number one, romantic
So, yeah.
relationships. Number two.
So yeah, if you then your girlfriend they fight or you then your wife they fight,
Okay.
if it affects, right?
opinion of
Or
forgive.
probably if you have family issues that you need to solve, or probably your rent is up, you need money to pay. Those kind of things kind of like affect your creativity in a way.
You design the button step, then your mind they do, hey, wifey, why would they fight? Continue.
So we have the external and we also have the internal, which probably sometimes caused by our own, in quotes, insecurities. Okay. So sometimes when a project, like a big project comes, we are scared that we might fail.
True.
So that kind of blocks it in a way. And it's funny how the brain works when
once you doubt yourself,
you just shoot yourself in the foot. So normally, for me, I'm not scared of any project. I approach every project with a mentality that I can do it.
You can do it.
As long as I have the necessary info to work on it.
And resources.
I'm good.
True.
So that is some of like, when it comes to the internal factors, I think most times we don't normally consider about the way you perceive the project from like the get-go kind of affects the way you go about the whole like process in the first place. You get it? So I believe that first of all, you need to approach the projects with a mentality that
you can do it.
You can do it.
Be open-minded.
Then you start seeing the opportunities, because then if you have that mentality, hey, this project I feel do, hey, I know fit. Then when any small challenge pops up, it becomes difficult for you to come up with any solution for that, because already you've psyched your mind in the initial stage, right, that this project is big. So when the challenge just pops up, it kind of buttresses that point you've already made in the initial stages, which I also feel is a big issue when it comes to creative block.
Right. But the external factors, you're not finished though. So we'll go back to that place. But on the topic of the internal, I think that's true. People need to open their mind. Like you said, you just have to understand or know that you can do it. And when it comes to the part of resources, Charlie, you have YouTube, you have Bundle. See, you can learn anything. There's this project happened recently that I had. Make me know. Like, I know that I can do it. I've promised the client that I'll do it. I just went to YouTube, watch few videos and then deliver. Because sometimes, like you said, from the get-go, people just doubt it. And then now when you're even working on it, there's no motivation or inspiration to continue because they just assume they can do it. That's interesting. Back to the external factor. Please, you didn't finish. I would like to hear some on that one too. The relationship, is it just romantic or is
I'm sure some has.
I don't want to look at it. Is it just romantic relationships? So you've not had any creative block because of external factors about relationships?
No, if it happens, that means the
No, talk.
I've not had any creative block because of that. It's usually that affects that. Not like that.
Okay, so you have two separate.
So I don't know why Reagan is trying to focus on the romantic.
Ashok. It's a design channel.
I said relationships, right?
You said romantic. You added romantic.
I said romantic and friendly relationship. It could be your best friend. It could be your family. Family to be relationship.
But romantic is not family.
But I'm saying family to be relationship.
This is not a relationship channel. We'll have to create one.
So the thing is, if you have something going on, probably it could be a family issue, right? It could be like maybe someone is in the hospital, probably are thinking of ways to cater for the bill or something. Like it could be anything related to that, right? That can affect your creativity in that manner. So that was what I was referring to, not necessarily just the romantic side of things. Because if you are single, does that mean you can't be affected? I'm not pointing anybody. I'm just putting it out. If you are single, if you are single, how then do you relate to that?
So, anyway.
Just 3 bullets. You just take 3 bullets.
Father.
Father.
But yeah, that's
Whatever my
just.
wife is.
And
Hey.
okay, even bringing it to the design, if your relationship with your colleagues at work, your bosses, then if it affects your creativity,
True.
yes. So there's that.
That's what I say. Well, I mean, we've looked at the factors and all that. Now, solutions. How do we go about it?
Solutions.
You're at the point where there's no energy.
Social studies course, factors, causes, solutions. This guy.
How do they go about it? They are at the point where they can't think straight. The person is blocked on my bread. I mean, we have somebody on the mountains right now. In China.
That's like the perfect example.
He not even can do this thing.
He has to give us a solution, but
Yes.
he for him his way was he just took time off.
Yeah.
From
everything,
yeah. Even though he's still working, but yeah.
That guy is awesome, but
Mike, stop working.
Which camera am I looking at?
Mike, stop working.
Instead to Mike over here.
So yeah, how do you go about this? I believe sometimes you need to step out of wherever you are working, like just step out of it. So if you're in your workspace, you are working, you feel like that's it. Just log out. If you want to go out, go out. If you want to watch movies, watch movies. If you want to do anything aside working.
The deadline is by.
Oh, definitely you would. So the thing is, if you wait, hoping that you get the creative juices flowing, eventually the deadline will be up. So it's better you try something different than later on. And I believe if you're in a company that actually, like, you're in a good company, like their culture-wise is good, some of these things you will not be stressed about it, right? Because then, like I said, there's some sort of accommodation for these scenarios. So if you are stressed out, they can, relax, take some break. Do you get it? But then it doesn't work for every company. For me, it's all about moving from whatever I'm doing, trying to do something different aside where I play game. Need a game there. If I stress, I just go counter, play my game. Do you get it? Or watch movies, Netflix. Or go out, hang out with friends. Just do anything aside what you are doing. I think from there helps. Maybe you could sleep too. Me too, I did sleep.
Myself fucking.
But sometimes when I don't sleep, like I don't get my normal sleeping time, it affects the way I work. So I make sure I get enough sleep. If I need to play game, I do that. If I need to.
And last year, the last quarter, like I was saying, see, I wake up, force myself to the laptop. If I say it's not working, just shut it down. Go and sleep. Just relax. Come back, come and do few. I'm not I'm not stressing my home. I just work for the time that my energy or my body can take 20, 30 minutes and I go. And adding to what you said, like just taking a break. Sometimes too, I think last year we had conversations a few times about this when I was stressed. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. You don't have to, because sometimes I just thinking plenty. If you have a girl, you just talk to a girl. If you have a girl, you have a boy, like the guy was talking to you. If you have this guy, don't let me talk to him. So
please, no problem. If I have a boy, like, please, if you have a friend, like, if you have a
girlfriend, you can talk to her.
If you have a girlfriend, if you have a boy, then you say if you have a boy, then.
But I was talking to you, and you know my boy.
So
yeah, sometimes you just need to. When you in. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And we had I think 3 different conversations where we were just talking. At a point you realize, okay, all these things are just in your head.
Yeah, true.
It not be that deep. Right? It's just in your head.
And there's this panic too. Normally when you get that creative block and you panic, it can really prolong that particular phase you are in. Right? So normally I know it's just a phase. Right. So when it comes, make a look out. And it's that then about talking to people, that's where community comes in.
Yeah.
So if you have like a good design community, you can just hang out. Or probably just ask them the question, maybe what you are struggling with. Okay, I'm trying to design for this and I'm stuck at this point. Any help? you might be shocked at like responses you might get from that, and probably might kickstart something that you didn't even expect in the first place. So
Nice.
yeah.
Akata.
What again?
Oh, you didn't hear the question.
I'm not hearing the question.
Tell me the question. That's the people in the phone. You are talking.
How you they go about like your creative blocks?
How they
Solving,
manage them?
yeah, overcoming them.
So, I mean, again, I think you mentioned the culture.
Yeah.
So, depending on the culture you're in, if the company, the culture is good and you understand, then you just have to be honest, say what your blockers are. I mean, we all have stand-ups.
Yeah.
I think every design team has one. So during the stand-up, you say what you've done, what you're about to do. If you're not able to do something, what's the blockers or the challenges? So just be honest. Again, I know for a fact companies differ and their cultures may differ. So some companies will not see this as anything. Some companies, yeah, you might get into some form of trouble. But yeah, just the thing is to be honest. It's better they know and see how they can help. If they try and make you feel bad for having a block, and that should tell you all you need to know. And the other one, for me, what I personally do, like if I'm overwhelmed, because typically I have a lot of things I need to do at the same time, both work-wise and outside. So if I'm overwhelmed and there's so many things running through my mind, what I do is I just sit myself down and say, what can I do right now to clear my mind or make me feel better or make me feel like at least I'm putting in the work. And typically, you know the answer. Maybe just sit down. It might not come immediately, but after a few seconds or after a minute, if you keep asking yourself, like, what can I do right now? So of all the things I have to do that is making me stressed, what can I do right now to push the needle? The answer will come to you, and then you take action. It doesn't have to be a lot. Maybe just 30 minutes doing nothing. You realize you feel much better. And then once you start it, like I said in the previous episode, there's something called snowball effect. You just keep going. And yeah, that's it. Sometimes you just need to start, but you don't know how to or what to focus on. So yeah, that's typically how I go about it.
Oh, so it's bound to happen. That's what I want to say. It's bound to happen. So don't be scared. Don't feel like you're an imposter. It's something that happens in your creative journey. It's a matter of you understanding that, okay, it's bound to happen and I need to relax. Like I said, panic is also an issue where when it happens, you get scared and sometimes you feel like a fraud. So it's about you understanding this and knowing that it's time for you to actually take a break. Whatever you want to do in that time, make sure it's not that work. You could even switch. So there's this switching when it comes to even working on like design products, right? Maybe probably you are working on a particular feature, you can just switch from that and move to another one, right? Sure. It could be that. But then if work-wise, nothing like is really helping, like you are really blocked on that end, just log out, go and sleep, watch movies, play game, whatever you want to do in those times. Or travel. Like the way Mike is at China. It's in China right now.
Or like some that sometimes.
Yeah.
This is that boy you won't talk.
Yeah.
In the mountains somewhere. So yes, just relax. After all, we go through them.
Yeah.
And still they go through.
Some they go through right now for today. You're on bed. All right. Next segment, is there any trending topic? Any question of the day?
So trending, what's trending? So issue of titles.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Your article. Over to you, Jolati.
What did you say?
Over to you, Jolati.
Where the article is?
I mean, so it's an issue I thought we could also discuss on this podcast, where people are obsessed with getting like senior titles. Sometimes they just put it on themselves, like they just do 1, 2, 3 design. Hey, I'm a senior designer, just like that.
Hey, when I was a senior designer.
Somebody do 3 designs. Senior designer. I'll be home.
When I'm a senior designer.
Or probably someone starting out maybe 6 months in, or done the mentor.
I'm gonna take you higher.
So for anyone listening, what I mean by Wadani mentor is like that person is
He's
my
not mentoring
mentor.
others.
Yeah, so
Hey, so people don't go fit.
Charlie, straight bullets in
Oh,
oh.
obviously you're a senior designer. Also, you're
Oh.
a senior designer. Me say me a mentor.
You see the senior, you see the mentor.
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, let's talk about it. This over obsession with
Titles.
titles and
Yeah. Well, me personally, I don't care about tattoos. Right? Can you do the job? And really here, like, that's what people are looking for, right? You and I think in your article you mentioned that people are in a design team alone, and they're calling themselves design lead or design. You understand? You don't need, and like I said, you just have to get a job done. You don't have to force yourself to get that title because I don't think that's what gets you the job, right? Like I was telling you that the place I work right now, right? We had the CTO told me when after like I got the job and all that, the very first onboarding call, it was like he shocked I got it, and I was like, "What?" It was like there were so many applications, and most of the people had experienced that. Me went into that time I was even still using UI UX design. You understand? I am my job product designer. You understand?
Yeah.
I didn't have a portfolio with like I just had some few works to show for and all that.
grace of God.
And I'm tired. You understand? Nobody cares about that time.
Yes,
They are looking at what you can do,
Yeah,
what you are
sure.
bringing to the company and all that. So people in a rush to title themselves senior designer, design lead. When you are the only designer. Oh, come on, Chairman. You understand? You don't need. On the mentor part, this triple is in the
Nah, mentor this.
Oh,
Yeah, the one
It's
mentor.
But
very
you get 18 years experience, you understand?
it's me, baby. Oh.
So definitely you've
Stray
seen this
bullets,
issue.
yeah.
So
Stray bullets.
Hey.
Oh,
On the mentor part, I feel like I like the idea of teaching while you're learning. I like the idea. But I feel like some people just rush. Because, I mean, you have 6 months of experience. Yes, maybe you can teach somebody something. But you don't have to take the title. That is, like, you go for I want the titles, no. Because, I feel like sometimes you put the title on yourself so much that you don't even look at growing again. Because you call yourself a senior designer. Okay, then what, like, you understand? You feel like you reach. But then, like we said the last time, there are so many things to learn, you understand? There are so many things to learn. You don't have to give yourself titles. Like, I like the idea of teaching while you're learning. You can teach people, help people with your 6 months experience without calling yourself a mentor.
True.
Let the people with 20 years experience call themselves mentors. So, on the topic of titles, they know overdo, basically.
Yeah.
The straight bullets. Oh, man. Mentor. I think you said it in the last episode. One of them said, "Oh, mentor is here." Kashe.
you like this bullets.
You get 20 years experience.
How I get 20 years of experience? Because me, my Instagram, senior product designer.
You like that?
Senior product designer on my
You don't
Instagram.
actually do straight bullets.
It's me, baby. It's me, baby.
No, like honestly.
no.
How many years of experience do you have?
How do I want to concern you?
Because, I mean,
Let's focus on the topic. So it's titles, obsession.
Maybe it's just the way my personality is. I can't be bothered. I don't give two fucks.
You don't care. Yeah.
Whatever I want, call your body. At the end of the day, your work will prove.
Your work will prove it.
If you go and interview and you call your body senior product designer and they're asking you senior product designer things and you can't back it, you're there. The amount money they get me. Sorry if I switched to pidgin. I'm saying what's on my heart. The money I get I don't get some. So if you want to call yourself this, call yourself that. I can't be bothered. I don't wake up and follow people. If you want to mentor people, me, I don't really care. Like it's not something I think about. But then again, just let your work show for it. Right. So yeah, if you want to call yourself senior product designer after 2 projects, all fine and good. Just
2 projects.
show working. Like show working. Me, I don't care, but don't let other people drag you because they are not able to match your work to the title you are giving yourself. And if you want to be a mentor, I always believe that no matter your level, there's always something you can teach another person because there's always someone below you, no matter your level. So maybe you can teach, but mentoring or calling yourself a mentor, that's like a different level. Again, me, I don't care. Do whatever you want, but just be honest with yourself and know exactly where you are, the things you know. And if you actually feel like you're in the right position to guide someone from 0 to a certain level where they'll get a job and be confident in that job, Right? I know for me, I don't like to talk about this, but I've helped quite a number of people to get into jobs from zero to junior. So again, I don't care. Do whatever they want.
Please, how do we sign up for your mentorship?
Yeah, I can't be bothered. Do whatever they want. It doesn't put money in my pocket. It doesn't put food on my table. But yeah. No, because I really don't care. I really don't care. Like, just I know they show working. Because if we talk about senior product designers, I know in my mind, like, the people that will come to mind if you talk about senior product designers. So if you're calling yourself one, ask yourself if you ask other people within your circle, not like people who do not know you, other people within your circle, if they should mention senior product designers, would they mention your name?
Mention your name, true.
Or more, show working. Yeah, that's what I say. Because, let me leave it there.
The design lead thing is here. Design lead by Adoli.
So, one thing I also believe in is the fact that your value needs to speak for itself. So, one thing I'm constantly doing is trying to upgrade. Because if you, let's say, I'm in your company, I'm doing this, right? And next year, I come to you and I've not improved.
The same thing.
To me, I've not really done anything. Plus, also, if I did bargain for, you know what I mean, like money-wise.
I don't want you to talk money. I don't know what I mean.
So, money-wise, too, I can't really back that up because then you have nothing to show for.
Nothing new to provide.
Do you get it? So, for me, I'm constantly improving to the point that when it's time for personal assessment or review, you have more like nothing to say in terms of, okay, this thing, like senior designer or whatever, you really know reach there. Because for me, what I'm doing, I have this metric thing, right? So I read this book about how to move from junior to senior. And they looked at the industry as a whole, what you need in terms of skill set as a senior. So sometimes I just do this self-evaluation thing to see where I am. So normally I don't need you to validate that I'm actually a senior. Do you get it? That's where your work comes in. Because then I have proof to that particular claim. Do you get it? So yeah, I'll buttress on Sam's points where your work needs to speak for itself. And then that be what you go show. Yeah, so that's it for
this episode.
Yeah, what's trending?
Hi to the senior designers and design leads. All right.
Do you have question of the day too?
No. The
question of the day. Okay, if we talk what's one indication of someone who's a senior designer versus a junior designer?
Someone who's what?
A senior designer versus a junior or middle level.
Yeah, for me, I think the technical expertise, which is for a designer, it's your visual skill, right? So for that, it's very easy to prove that because, you show your work. But then I believe for a senior designer, it's about your collaboration, communication, and how you lead a team, right? Because the way you go about handling stakeholder conversations, getting them on board, aligning with them, right? And moving that from ideation to final production or in the market. That's what I believe is the difference between a senior and a junior. Because that would definitely, for a junior, when it comes to these convos, navigating it is very difficult for them. Right? But for a senior, if you want to know if that person is really a senior, that particular thing for me is the key differentiator. Yeah.
Senior designer.
Please.
Why
do you call me senior designer?
Send it on your bio.
That one they need. The difference for me, the very clear one to me is when you have a conversation with them and they are very fixated on Figma, auto layout, color. That's all the indication I need. That's you're still young, so you have to grow.
Okay, who goes?
Yeah, so
Oh, God. And always boy, oh God, please continue.
that's basically it for me. That's
Yeah,
all the indication I
but
need.
Still,
No, because if you are speaking with them, maybe you are trying to have conversations with them around like a product, proper
Okay.
product, and they are very fixated on like the
Wait, so
things,
the-
the conference of Figma.
if the person is speaking and you don't hear that, then you assume the person is this.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
it's not like I don't hear that. Again, like you need to realize that there's a lot more that goes into
To design.
building a product than just the design
Right.
in quotes, right? It's whatever I do with Figma. Yes, it's a skill set. You need to be very good at it. By the end of the day, nobody cares. Nobody cares. People ship products without designing in Figma. Like nobody cares, right? People ship successful products. This episode I'm not buying.
No.
People ship successful products without designing in Figma.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot more that goes into it. And even after the design, like you design in Figma, there's so much
Other things,
that happens. Like imagine a design sprint is not a design sprint. A sprint is 2 weeks. But designing is not part of that 2 weeks. Right. And there's a design sprint. That sprint is a week. Right. So ask yourself, and even after the sprint, there's a lot more that goes. It takes from design to shipping of that feature, it takes months. And design takes like a week. Right, give or take, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how complex the feature is, or maybe a month. But yeah, if the more that feature is complex, like it takes a long time for that thing to move from design to like an actual shipped product. So yeah, I mean, if I'm having a conversation with you about a product and you keep talking about layout and I feel like this color would be, or I wanted to use two layouts, or
Okay. Point made. So
my brain the ache.
point made on that part. So on the senior designer, what kind of how do I word it?
Conversations.
What kind of things would you normally hear from? I want to learn. So.
I mean, not to
No.
we all start from somewhere. I'm not shading anybody, but I'm just saying what it is so you can learn from that. Because, for example, conversations, especially if you're building a product, in a company that has a product, like there's so many other aspects of that product. Typically, you won't be the only person working on that product. You're probably working on just a feature. That is if you are not the only designer, the other designers. Even if they are the only designer, that product still has multiple features. I mean, you are the only designer, so you understand.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, there's something called systems thinking, not design systems thinking. Like how what you are building interconnects with everything else. Right. Like such conversations.
Oh, that's what you would like to hear more.
You get to like things that actually push the needle, because that's what sets you apart.
Right.
Because you can talk about design, but again, the stakeholders will be the one who promote you.
Yeah.
They don't care about your Figma. They really do not care. Like, I don't know how many times you can emphasize it. They really do not care. All they care about is that, this thing is out, it is making money, it is doing what it's intended to. And you need to be able to have these conversations, and that is how you communicate your value as a designer. Right? Let them know that, like, you are thinking about this product, and you're thinking about this feature, how this feature connects with this feature, and how this feature might set up another feature coming down in the future, like later down the line. Right? So, one of the things I talk about, one other PM I used to work with, he messaged me yesterday, and my professor called me.
Oh, that did be.
He messaged me yesterday and was asking me, I think I can read out what I sent him. He was asking me, like, as a designer, or as a senior designer, as he likes to put it, what are some of the things I expect from
a senior designer,
like a PM?
Okay.
To make a read a question. Yes. So he said, he want me some more. So as a senior designer, what are 5 main things you expect and don't expect? Both can add up to 5 from a product manager in order to make workflow progress seamlessly. And yeah, I joked. That's one of the exams they asked me. But this is what I said. I said, for me, number 1 has to be documentation skills. The PM has to have the ability to write clearly defined requirements for a project, have a roadmap of feature releases of at least 2 quarters for the product or feature domain that we are in. Right? They understand that, right? And the second one was like, number 2 has to be respecting the craft and skill set of each team member and trusting that they will do their best work unless they've proven beyond reasonable doubt that they can't. And this goes both ways. The designer or developer needs to also trust that the PM can do their work. Number 3, for me, is having a collaborative approach to work and involving design throughout the decision-making process instead of treating it as an afterthought, afterthought or just beautification. Number 4, what I don't expect a PM to know design or engineering that much. There are dedicated people for those roles. The PM just needs to know how to communicate well. This includes his vision for the product and what he or she expects for a task. Number 5, I'll say, is understanding your team's capabilities and bandwidth, which is also crucial, just so you don't go making promises to management or certain stakeholders that are not feasible. So these are the 5 things I'm going to explain like each of them. Right. So the documentation one, that one, it gets me into trouble before. I think I mentioned before, or I know mentioned to you before.
Well,
My previous workplace, the documentation one, it get me into trouble. I go ask for if they have documentation of what they are talking about. They didn't have. And that thing gets me into trouble. Those who know. Right? Mainly because, like, whenever we are doing something, right, we will do something and then go and hit a roadblock and realize, this won't work.
Right.
And then realize,
Right, so
this
they
is
had a
why.
documentation,
And then
all that.
realize, we actually did this before in the past, and this is why it did not work. But because nobody documented it, they repeated that same mistake. And that's something that I always want like each team to avoid. So if you have a documentation, proper documentation of why we took certain actions, why we are doing certain things, then we know, say, okay, this won't work for ABC. So in the future, we know this, unless something changes. And that'd be why I feel like the documentation they need, and also like a roadmap of feature releases. Remember, I said something about systems thinking and how to connect things to other features and things that might come out. So if you have a clear roadmap of like maybe like a feature, right, of things that could come down the line. Remember, even Junkyard, we're saying we'll eventually get to the point where we'll like have an account set up and track people's like usage patterns and everything. So like if you have this roadmap, then your team can work towards that. They don't have to wait for you to give them a task. Because if they don't know that, like what is coming, then that's where they will just be working for, they will wait for you. They won't be proactive. They will wait for you to give them a task. But if they have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, at least for the next 2 quarters, they know, even if they are free, they can pick up something that pushes the needle towards that. UBAB. Then the second one, respecting the craft. I mean, I don't like when people tell me what to do. And I naturally trust people by default to do what you want to do. Unless like you try show me signs say you can't, then it frustrates me because I don't like to micromanage. And I don't like people to micromanage me. Right? Because especially if in a company and they pay you and somebody they micromanage you, why don't they pay you? Right? And if you are the one who hired me and you micromanage me, like why did you hire me in the first place? And the collaborative approach, I think it goes without saying. And one of the things, even this guy, I did it for him because I realized there was this process map where they go through the process, like getting the requirements and everything. Then I realized it skipped design and it just jumped straight to development. And I was like, why is design? There's no design in there. He said, design is part of the development. I'm like, no, it's not part. Like, maybe I will blast you, make everybody see I blast you. Right? So, I was vocal about it. But then it's not like I was blasting, but I was vocal about it so he knows that this is not something we can skip. Right? So then later, like, he brought the documents and then I saw he put design. I knew he's a very collaborative person. So he worked on it. And then, we ended up having something that was good for everybody. So now if anybody, maybe management or anywhere, any new person comes, the design is an important thing. It's not something that is just, you're a beauty guy. Come and make things beautiful. It doesn't work that way. And the PM doesn't need to know design engineering that much. The same thing as designers. You see, sometimes you see job requirements or there's this debate, designers need to know how to code. It's not really that too. Again, you cannot code better than someone who has dedicated their whole life or their whole career to code. They just want someone who can communicate with the devs well. So you'll be in sync and you won't make something outrageous, quote unquote. The same thing we talk about. So the same thing, you're a PM, me, I can't do your work. And I don't expect you to know how to do mine. Right? So don't worry yourself about knowing design terms or anything. Right? There was this one example at my previous workplace. There was this PM. We were designing a website, landing page, and she was giving some terms. How she understood that term was different from the actual meaning of that term. And then it was confusing me. And I asked her to explain it in like simple English. And then she explained it, I was like, no, that's what you are saying, that's not what it is. I forgot what exactly she said. But what you're saying, that's not what it is. And there I told her, if you're speaking with me, don't try to do any design, like you know design. You don't know design better than me. So just speak simple English. Because me, I don't speak any design terms if I'm speaking to somebody. I don't I don't try to impress you by speaking any big design. Because myself, I don't even know the design, but I just know how to do the work. Right. And which one is the last one? Understanding your team's capabilities. I think that one everybody knows.
Yeah.
You've not been there where you go take some feature away. You know, so this feature will take like 2 months. But I will probably say 3 weeks. Then everybody the wire. So you see, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So I feel like some of these conversations are what you push. Right? On an average, these things you can have these things with management, but you can't talk about auto layout with management.
No.
You can't talk about colors with management.
No.
They don't really care, but they care about these things because that's what make the company run. Right, and that's what brings them money. Like it sets everything up. That be what well for me. That's if I'm speaking with someone and you start saying this and I know okay, at least you are there.
Okay.
But if you start saying other things that are within the confines of Figma, then I know okay, you're not really rich. But which is fine because again, everybody has to go. Me, when I started, I didn't know all these things, but you learn through experience.
It's a journey.
Yeah, so make nobody stress you. If you want to use the title, use the title. But let your work back it.
Don't mind them.
Yeah, Stephanie.
We are again hi to the senior designers. All right, I guess that will be it for this episode. We'll catch you.
You guys don't talk anything on this.
In the next one. We are trying.
723.
On a song they view.
Yeah, the song you were. I forget the video. You bring the song. Sing the thing.
I forget what the song Eminem one.
Yes. Don't bring the song that I come to sing. Hey.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Let's check.
Oh, God.